Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Barbara, an event producer at EventBuilder, and I'm thrilled to be hosting today's session, Women-Led Innovation, a conversation with EventBuilder's leadership. At EventBuilder, we're passionate about connecting people through virtual events, and we're also deeply committed to fostering a diverse and inclusive tech industry. As a 100% women-owned company with women making up the majority of our workforce and leadership, we believe in the power of diverse perspectives and the importance of empowering women in technology. We've recently published a blog series on our website exploring this very topic, so be sure to check it out when you get a chance. Today, we have the privilege of hearing directly from the women who lead EventBuilder. Renee, Lauren, Robin, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Barbara.
Yeah. So before we get into the questions, I would like to introduce all of you to our audience. I'm going to start with Renee. Renee is our COO and is the operational expert who ensures that EventBuilder runs smoothly and efficiently, enabling us to deliver exceptional service to our clients. Lauren, our CEO, brings the visionary leadership that drives EventBuilder's mission to revolutionize virtual events and create a company culture that prioritizes both innovation and employee well-being. Robin, our CTO, leads our product development, driving the technological innovation that makes the EventBuilder solution so powerful and user-friendly. So today, we're going to explore what it means to be a woman leader in tech, discuss the challenges and opportunities, and share practical advice. We'll also touch on how EventBuilder's internal values, our commitment to diversity, inclusion, and work-life balance, are reflected in the products and services that we offer. So if you're all ready, let's dive into the first question. My first question is for all of you guys. So you've been in the tech industry for a long time and have seen and experienced the environment from a woman's perspective. Let's talk about the systemic disadvantages and unique challenges that women and other underrepresented groups often face in business and specifically in technology. What are some structural or cultural obstacles you've observed or experienced, and how do you think we can best address them both individually and as an industry?
Yeah, so the number one challenge for women entrepreneurs in technology or any industry is access to capital. So many women do not have a seat at the table, and their networks do not include investors, bankers, and their peers don't, right? So when we took over EventBuilder, both our formal and informal networks didn't have investors ready. We didn't have quick access to capital. And honestly, we were a bit naive, and we took some poor advice and we connected with some investors that were not a good fit. We made some deals that were not really that great for us. And it was very expensive to get out of that situation. We're past it now and it's good, but it was painful for a long time because of this. So what we need to do in our culture is to help women get a seat at the table, to invite them into our networks and refer them inside of our networks, and also to always make sure that we are offering solid, trustworthy advice.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And, just thinking back and some of the cultural and structural, things we're talking about here, definitely when we all worked at the previous version of EventBuilder, we experienced that quite a bit. And, upper management had no interest in listening to what our feedback was, even though we were the ones that directly worked for the client. And we knew what they wanted. We had ideas on how to expand, how to service better, quicker, easier. They didn't care. They didn't listen. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, when they started to make some strategy decisions, they didn't have the information they needed to make a good strategy. And, they ended up getting into turmoil. And, for us, even though it was frustrating, it actually gave us an advantage because we were able to come in and buy the services from them. And even though we didn't have experience of owning our own business at the time, we knew our customers. We knew what they needed. We were confident that we could provide what they needed. So, we had the confidence to do that. So, we bought the services, and within 6-8 months, we were able to then buy the software off of that company as well, the previous company, and then they had to dissolve. And, that was 9 years ago, and here we are today.
Mm.
And we were able to take what we learned there and realize the importance of respecting the people that work for you, valuing their feedback. Because really, you have no idea, you need to listen. It's imperative for organizations to listen to the people that work for them, because you never know where the next great idea is coming from. Different perspectives are amazing. And, that's what keeps our business strong and keeps us excited and innovative. And, it's definitely a core to what we do and what EventBuilder is now.
As both Renee and Lauren mentioned, we have a long history of working with limited resources, trying to successfully execute our jobs, successfully support our customers, but not having the resources to do that. And what that causes you to do is become really creative problem solvers. And so we worked on a team of people that had really unique perspectives, and it helps break down problems and challenges when you listen to all those different voices. For example, I am very much a big picture person. I can see how one part of a process impacts another part of the process, but I miss all the details down here. There are other team members that we have that are very good at seeing those details and holding me to account, making sure I'm not dismissing and glossing over their concerns. As it specifically applies to our software product, you can have a really talented user interface designer, and their approach to software design is completely different from a back-end developer. But without both of those perspectives, we couldn't deliver this cutting-edge software that we do.
So Renee, as COO, you're responsible for ensuring EventBuilder operates efficiently and effectively. How does EventBuilder's commitment to being a great place to work translate into concrete policies and practices, particularly in supporting work-life balance for employees?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, at EventBuilder, really, compassion and flexibility are really core to when we create policies and programs within EventBuilder. With the virtual events industry, the nature of it is pretty flexible, right? We don't get to choose the hours. Our clients come to us and they have a need and they have an hour, they have a time that they want to do something. So, we have to accommodate that. But to make an amazing event, that can happen outside of the time that you're on with an audience or with presenters. So there's a lot of flexibility built into our industry, which is awesome and which actually drew me here in the first place. But we really respect that and let our team members be able to craft a schedule that's based on their personal needs and that fits their professional needs. We also try to support people in lots of different ways. So some of that is paying 100% of our team's, health, dental, vision, disability insurance, so they don't have to worry about that or, that part of their lives. And then, the traditional sick policy, let's say, traditional companies, that is for when your physical body is sick. But at EventBuilder, we took in really the needs of our team and you need more than that. So we created a wellness leave policy that allows for lots of flexibility. So you can use it for mental health day. You can do it for if you need to care for a parent or a child or have an appointment. But just the flexibility and the respect of our employees that, we're honoring you with this. This is a benefit for you to use however you feel you need to use for your own personal wellness. But we've been around long enough that we also know you have to be super flexible. So when things happen like COVID-19 and the world comes and changes like nobody's ever had before, and for us in the virtual events world, we became very busy. Our company has been virtual always, so we were comfortable with it. But as we all know, a lot of the world decided that was a need that we needed to. What was necessary, right? We couldn't see each other. So needless to say, we were very busy. But a lot of us had children too. And so this caused, everybody to have their kids at home. And it was super stressful for all of us, just having all of that responsibility all at once. And, we as a management team were like, okay, what can we do? How can we support our team members here? And so we designed a program where EventBuilder would pay for our team members to take a break during the day, go be with their kids, make sure that they were set up for a good day of online learning or whatever they needed to do to be able to accommodate what we had to go through at that time, right? And, for me, even though I'm one of the people that helped design and implement this, it was super meaningful to me because I mentally knew I was supported in taking a break from what I would traditionally do at a certain time of the day go be 100% present with my kids and make sure they were on target, or at least sort of on target, right? To get them in a position for they could be successful. So, there's all kinds of ways you can support team members, and we really try to take that compassion and the flexibility to when we're trying to design these things.
Yeah. Well, undeniably, your employees feel it. So my next question is for Robin. Robin, as CTO, you're leading the development of a technology platform. How does having a diverse team, and specifically a leadership team with a strong female presence, impact the design and functionality of the EventBuilder platform?
Sure. So diversity in the team brings, as I was talking about earlier, all different perspectives. And that's particularly impactful when you're talking about accessibility with software. We have teammates that have personal experience with hearing impairment, mobility limitations, visual challenges, and that lived experience really brought a lot to the design of our product to make sure that we can have our software be accessible to all, but it also made us be more compassionate when working both within our teams and across teams. And, a lot of our problems were solved with simple casual conversations among diverse teammates, throwing things together as opposed to just, let's look at the development team to develop a product. The development team has taken input from every part of our company and every part of our families. I also think that one of the best ways to prepare yourself for that kind of challenge is being a parent. Because once you have to be concerned about somebody else's well-being beyond your own, it broadens your approach to the world, because you're not focusing on simply your needs and your preferences. You need to be looking out for other people. And we brought all of that to the table as well.
So my next question is for all of you. In our blog series, we talk about imposter syndrome. So I'm curious to know if any of you have experienced this, and if so, how have you navigated those feelings? What advice would you give to others struggling with self-doubt?
I've worked in some male-dominated industries like telecom and defense contracting, and it's always been my experience that the women in those industries are in ancillary roles. They're in accounting and HR and marketing and maybe compliance, but the tech-heavy roles were always occupied by men. So the subliminal messaging that division of labor gave me always kept me in kind of tech ancillary roles, program management, project management, release management. So when we became who we are now, and we were divvying up the responsibilities, who was going to be responsible for the technology, I was very hesitant. Complete imposter syndrome. But then I looked back to those early years where we had to be creative problem solvers. And I thought, we've done some crazy things. We figured out some things that we would have never known we could have done. So when I feel that little creep of imposter syndrome, I remember the early days of us just making it work, and look at what we're doing now. So it helps tamp down your imposter syndrome, which is a natural thing.
Yeah. For me, it's definitely when I silo myself, when I get super focused on EventBuilder and what we're doing here, and, just get down into the weeds, especially in operations and things like that, it is really easy to let imposter syndrome creep in and get in your brain. But then, when you do have a network of other business leaders that you can talk to, a business owner, even if it's in your industry or not, just to understand what their struggles are, where their successes are, just having that conversation really helps tamp that down and make you reflect on what we're doing here and what we have done. And, makes me super proud of what the three of us and all of our team members have done to help create the EventBuilder that we have today.
Yeah. I love listening to these responses from you guys. We all have insecurities. I see it in myself. I see it in the people I lead. I see it in my colleagues. And it comes out in our personal and professional lives. And it is a fact of life. And I think it is there for women. It's there for all people, though, as well, right? And but because it is a fact, it's something that we work alongside and that we work with, and we don't just try to ignore it or avoid it. It is there, and it needs to be addressed and recognized and worked through and with, right? So one of the things that I do when I'm coaching someone is I will try to push on what level of responsibility or stretch their skills as much as I can, and let them know that I think that they can do it. And they might not feel comfortable with it yet, right? But I think they can do it, and I'll let them know that. I think you can do this. And I think that people surprise themselves often with what they're able to accomplish. All of us humans, we can only become as successful as we can imagine ourselves to be, right? And so sometimes, though, it's hard for people to imagine themselves in this sort of like future state, right, of accomplishment. And so having someone else say that they think that you can do that is so important, and it helps people reach there. So I like to see what edges, I can help somebody play to and cross over.
Yeah. That is a great segue into my next question, which is about mentorship. And mentorship is often cited as crucial for career development. Have any of you guys had mentors who significantly impacted your careers? And what are your thoughts on the importance of mentorship, both formal and informal, for women in tech?
So mentoring looks really different in different contexts. I worked for many years for a multi-billion-dollar international company, and they had a formal mentoring program. And when I was hired, HR matched me with an existing employee, and our mentoring activities were recorded and measured and managed in your employee file. And it felt very much like a checkbox of your job duties rather than an opportunity to grow. It also felt very much one-directional. I felt like I was being mentored to be an employee in the model of the employees that were already there. Mm-hmm. And that probably served their needs, but in our setting, it doesn't serve our needs. So at EventBuilder, our mentoring is all informal. It's also multi-directional. So sure, if we hired a new customer care rep, I could easily mentor them on how to be a great supplier of care to our customers. But I can also learn a heck of a lot from that person too. So I really feel that mentoring shouldn't be a tool to enforce uniformity. It should be a tool to celebrate and encourage diversity.
Yeah, for me personally, I haven't had the opportunity to have a formal mentor from the path I got here today, but I've definitely learned a lot from the Robin and Lauren and just all of the women at EventBuilder. But what has really also been helpful is to have that network of other business owners. Like I mentioned before, it's repeating what I am going to talk about today, but how important that network is, and just talking to other people and hearing their stories and understanding their struggles and how they were successful. Just, you learn so much. And once I've gained knowledge, I want to give it out. Like, if I hear somebody saying something, I'm like, oh, I have some experience that I will gladly say, you know what, I'm happy to talk to you. Let me know, call me later, and I will give you the advice I learned. And, it just, when you didn't have it and you've learned from it, you want to give it away. So,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I also have not had a lot of formal mentoring. My mom, who is amazing, has been an entrepreneur most of her professional life. And so I've learned a lot through observing her and working with her. And so, so she's been important, but not necessarily a formal mentor. As Renee mentioned, the three of us have definitely learned a lot from one another. From Renee, I have learned the value and incredible strength of determined, steady progress that sometimes is slower than I want it to be, but it is progress and it's so good. From Robin, I have learned so much about deep kindness and about treating others with compassion. So at EventBuilder, we do not formally mentor as much as I would like to, but mentoring is constant. It's happening all the time in every department, on every team. And because we prioritize sharing knowledge and sharing our experiences with others. And my unofficial mantra is always be training your replacement, right? That prepares that person to grow, and it prepares you to be able to move up, right? Because somebody can fill what you were doing before. So it's something that we can do to help people in their trajectory. And honestly, people who report to me directly are going to get mentored whether they ask for it or not.
So my next question is for Renee. EventBuilder is a certified 100% women-owned business. Why was achieving that certification important, and how does it align with EventBuilder's overall mission and values?
That's a great question. So, being able to have a women-owned business certificate was really significant for us in several ways. It affirms our company's commitment to fostering diversity and inclusion. And, for us, we took over this business 9 years ago, but it was not until 2021 that we were able to buy out our last investor, as we alluded to before, that we didn't have some great deals, but we finally were able to do that in 2021. So once that happened, the next day, we were on to get certified as a women-owned business, because it enhances EventBuilder's credibility, and it lets us scream it from the rooftops that this is who we are, these are our values, and this is who we support this community. Our mission here at EventBuilder is to be a force for good through innovative virtual event solutions delivered with compassion and expertise. And I really feel that this certification supports that broader goal of driving a positive change, into the business world. Being certified, it strengthened us internally and externally, and, it has brought us a lot of value personally. I keep talking about this networking that we've gotten through this, and it is really valuable, and it's really amazing. And I'm really glad that we've come to a point where we can be certified and take advantage of those things internally and externally.
Yeah. Well, as an employee, I have a lot of pride saying that I work for a 100% women-owned company.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Lauren, EventBuilder has experienced significant growth. What are the key operational challenges of scaling a company, especially a women-owned company in the tech industry, and how have you navigated those challenges while staying true to EventBuilder's core values of being a force for good and a great place to work?
Yeah, we have such a strong commitment to our values, and among them are integrity and compassion. And those help shape our initiatives and our policies. Two of our top OKRs are be a force for good and be a great place to work. And so sometimes these values are at odds with the unfettered capitalism system that we are in, So we've made these deliberate choices over the years to grow with integrity and to choose carefully how we grow and why we grow. So we've been approached many times by companies and individuals that want to either acquire us or invest a bunch of money and get us ready for some big sale. And, I'm not going to lie, the idea of some big payout is, naturally that would be exciting, right? But we know that it would change our company culture so much and really change the very fabric of our company that we've avoided this deliberately, right? And we've chosen a more steady route and more organic growth that preserves our culture and preserves our integrity, really. So in the tech world, I don't think this is typical behavior. But we prioritize people over profits.
Yeah. So I have a question for all of you again. We've talked a lot about challenges women face in tech. But what are you most optimistic about regarding the future of women in this industry? What positive changes are you seeing already?
Oh, okay. So, well, what I'm optimistic about is that the numbers are moving. There are more women in STEM and there are more women in leadership. It's not moving fast enough, of course. I've already mentioned that I'm impatient. We have a long way to go, but it is moving. So that is something to be optimistic about. I think that EventBuilder supports women in tech through our workplace culture and our initiatives. They were created by women as the result of personal experience, and they address the needs of a diverse workforce. And by the way, the men in our company benefit from this just as much. But one thing that we do that I think is unusual is that we have a good portion of our team that works part-time, but they're still doing meaningful work, right? They have a real job that they can get fulfillment from and contribute meaningfully, but it is part-time. So we have a significant number of team members, myself included, where we've raised kids while we were doing this work. And that requires a lot of flexibility, and sometimes it requires part-time work. Sometimes people who have a lot of responsibility are not able to go and work for 60 hours at a job, right? And there are a lot of employers who, if you are not willing to put in 60 hours, will not hire you or work with you. So we've got this group of people who work part-time, still doing real work, right? And I think that sort of practice has allowed us to help keep some more women in technology that might have left earlier.
Yeah, we've actually had some team members that have gone from full-time and went to part-time and then came back to full-time because their needs have changed.
Yeah.
And, they've been with us long enough, and, we can adjust and support them in different ways, which is awesome. This is one of the things that we love the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I'll just keep going. So definitely with what Lauren was saying about being optimistic about seeing some of the demographics changing, Microsoft is our biggest customer, and I was just looking at some of they do a yearly report, and they reported that they're just a good tech industry view, right? So over 31% of their core employees are women, and over 27% of those are in the technology space, are in technical jobs, which has grown definitely over time and is on a trajectory, but as Lauren said, not quite fast enough for us impatient people, but we're getting there. But one thing that I'm super optimistic about is that now we have so many more tools, free tools, to be able to do things quicker and faster, and because they're free, all kinds of people can bring ideas to market that didn't have this opportunity before. So I feel like a lot of women have these amazing ideas, but either didn't have the resources, the time, or the money. But now with tools like AI deep research and other AI tools, you can put together an idea and get feedback and research and marketing and all these things in what normally would take you months or years. We can do in hours and minutes. So I'm really optimistic about that. Somebody can have an idea and get the tools that they need to get it to the next step so much faster. So I definitely see that as a game changer.
I think we can all agree that these are some pretty volatile times in the world right now with, as you were just alluding to, Renee, the explosive growth of AI, with climate concerns, with geopolitical upheaval. That kind of uncertainty by its very nature makes us less optimistic because of that uncertainty. But it also means that we can take this as an opportunity to really change and spin around our worldview and maybe approach some problems and some challenges with a new perspective. These sweeping changes, while they're very disorienting, they provide us a great opportunity. So although traditionally women haven't been leaders in tech, I think the opportunities that we're seeing now could really change that narrative.
Yeah. So another question for all of you. What is one piece of advice that you would give your younger self just starting out? I'm very curious to know the answer.
Well, this advice is very hard to take, but do the hardest thing first. When you get a new project, particular project that is complex and big, my natural reaction too, is you go for the low-hanging fruit, and because you want to get a quick and easy win under your belt. But what that really does means you're taking a portion of time, your project timeline, away from what is arguably the most important and the most difficult piece of work. So I try to always remember to do the hard part first. I would recommend that you do a quick search of a gentleman named Astro Teller and his principle of tackling the monkey first. It is a fantastic, fascinating concept and one I'm really trying to hold tight to.
For me, I learned this a few years ago, and it's really stuck with me, and I actually say this to my children all the time too. It's to be bold and ask the question, because whatever the question is, if you don't ask the question, you're never going to know the answer. So this can be from anything between, asking a client for more money, or asking them for a referral, or asking for a loan from somebody you traditionally wouldn't, all kinds of things, because if you can't you don't ask the question, you're never going to know the answer. It's simple, but it's super powerful.
Yeah. So years ago, I was in a leadership role and working in tech and with very few women as my peers. And someone said to me, hey, when you go into that room, those guys in there don't know anything more than you do. They just act like they do. And of course, I should have known that, but just hearing that, it really resonated with me. And it's something that I've held on to. It's been really helpful. I wish I'd embraced it much earlier in life. So that was real advice that I got when I was younger. But also around that time, we're working in this place that had really embraced tech bro culture, and we kind of hated it. And we knew that there was a better way. We didn't have the authority to really make those big changes, right? But eventually we got the opportunity to take over the business, and so we did that. Literally overnight, everything got better, right? There were better ways to do everything, right? We were doing the same deliveries for the same clients with the same team, but everybody was thriving and happy and, innovating and just doing the most and loving it, right? And so the advice that I wish that I had gotten was that there are new and different ways to do things and new and creative ways to do things, and they might be unconventional, but go ahead and do them because you will be happier.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for sharing those. So my next question is for you, Robin. In the blog series, we highlighted how many women leave the tech industry mid-career. So I'm curious to know what made you stick around.
Well, I'm going to date myself now. Since leaving college, I've had 3 employers in the 39 years since leaving college. So I've had a ton of roles across those employers, but only 3 employers. So by my nature, I don't step away. That said, a few years back, there was some personal circumstances in my life that required I work from home 100%. The company I was working for was very supportive of me working from home a day or 2 a week, but not 100% remote. And it was likely, had I not found EventBuilder, that I would have left the tech industry. So although my entire adult career has been in technology, if I had not found this home, I would have left the tech industry. I would have been one of those people leaving mid-career to do something completely unrelated and to lose the value of my experience. So once I found EventBuilder and I knew I could both contribute meaningfully and also take care of my family, it engendered huge loyalty. And I can't imagine stepping away from what we've done because, as we've talked about, building an organization that supports our employees, this organization supports us as well. I mean, everybody from a part-time employee who only works a couple hours a week to our development team that works unbelievable hours, everybody is supported. And we can help each other do not only meaningful work, but support their families at the same time.
Yeah. So I want to thank you guys so much for this incredibly insightful and inspiring conversation. Thank you to our audience for watching. It is clear that while challenges remain, the future of women in tech is bright. And by fostering inclusive workspaces, supporting mentorship, challenging stereotypes, and celebrating successes, we can create an industry where everyone can thrive. And EventBuilder is proud to be part of that journey. So we encourage you to explore the Women-Led Innovation in Tech blog series on our website for more resources and information. And if you're interested in learning how EventBuilder can help your organization create engaging and impactful virtual events, please don't hesitate to request a consultation or to contact us. And thank you again for joining us, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Barbara.
Yeah, thank you.